Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is most certainly making the list for worst game releases in 2024, and honestly, in general, it is a terrible game in every way, shape, or form. But unfortunately for Rocksteady and SweetBabyInc, this game is not holding player numbers because their player count continues to dwindle. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, after all of the controversy leading up to release, a lot of people still hope that this game was going to be at least decent, right? Because it is part of the Arkhamverse, a series that is beloved by many. I personally adore the other Arkhamverse games, but this title was just so disappointing for people that were new to the franchise, people who had played the previous games. Nobody really clicked with this title, and SweetBabyInc, of course, decided to shove their message into this game. And it did not end up paying off for Rocksteady because Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is losing players on Steam daily with a significant drop in player count since launch. This is honestly great to see because this was such a bad game. It does not deserve to have any number of players playing it because this is not the product that we should have gotten at the end of the day. It says the newly released Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is continuing to lose players on Steam with player counts dipping every day since the game's launch. We are not even 3 weeks post-launch. We are still within a certain time frame where there should be a massive amount of people playing. I mean, yes, obviously, you go through the main story and you end up putting the game down. That is what happens with single-player titles. But when it comes to Suicide Squad, it never had high player counts at launch or in the first place. I mean, this game was poorly received and honestly hated even months before launch when we saw the first teasers and trailers. This game was horribly written, it had cringy dialogue, how the characters were represented was bad, and it didn't fall in line in any way with how the characters would act in the comics or in the Arkham games, and that's a big problem. I'm not saying that it would make the game any better, but people had high expectations of this game because it was pushed as part of the Arkhamverse, and those games were amazing. But Arkhamverse or not, this game is just bad, and the fact that it was part of the Arkhamverse makes it even worse because of how great those games were. It says the universe shifts players to an anti-hero role, taking control of villains like Harley Quinn and King Shark to battle a mind-controlled Justice League. Reception to the game has largely been mixed since its launch, with many criticizing its lackluster gameplay. Now even more fans are stepping away from the new DC shooter. I wouldn't say that it has been mixed. I would say it's gone pretty freaking poorly for them, just judging by all of the ratings. Of course, the critics gave it a 60. This game does feature the message pretty prominently, so it's not particularly surprising for me to see them rate it a 60, which is pretty high, but users absolutely loathe this game. It's sitting at a 3.8 right now. It's gone up a tiny bit, and of course it has gone down. It has been staying right around a 3.7 to a 3.8 pretty consistently though, and this is after there have been many positive reviews because there are individuals who want to support Sweet Baby and Rocksteady and this new direction, this modern take on the Arkhamverse, people who have tried to positive review bomb it, but it definitely has not worked out for them. But as you can see over on the Steam charts, there are 1,393 people playing. The 24-hour peak was only 2,323 players. And then, of course, they never got close to the launch day peak, which was 13,459. But as you can see, the game has been actively dipping to right above 1,000 or in a lot of cases below 1,000. Like as you can see, Friday, 903, 926 on Thursday. Oof, Wednesday, it went down to a measly 218 people. And I've got to be honest, I am happy to see this. This game does not deserve players. This game was so disappointing. The gameplay was lackluster, the story was mediocre, the character dialogue and the character development was very cringy. It did not look as good as the previous games. Like, I understand that it's not set in Gotham, so you're kind of losing that dark tone. And with a lot of these characters, it's supposed to be more humorous, it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be, honestly, in some ways a bit more lighthearted, but it really didn't work because you have all of these villains who are supposed to be villains in this game, and you try to turn them into this anti-hero role when it doesn't really work because you kind of threw away all of their darkest irredeemable qualities to try to make them more likable for players because we have to play as them. So it just came across as a bunch of characters who didn't really know who they were or what they were doing or kind of their direction. It ended up being extremely, extremely disappointing, and as you can see, recent updates to the popular Steam aggregator, SteamDB, reveal that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is consistently losing players with each passing day. Yeah, it has consistently dropped under 2,000 and 1,000, and it of course, isn't going to change anytime soon. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has less than 1,000 players. This article is by PC Games, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League from Rocksteady Studios is struggling to maintain its player count on Steam despite good reviews because the critics are out of touch. This is why I always say play a game yourself or watch a playthrough. Do not trust game critics because they've rated this shit a 60. This in no way, shape, or form deserves even close to a 60, and they say that, oh, despite its good reviews, now there's only journalists, these activist hacks, who are rating it positively. Anywhere else, if you go on social media like X and you type in Suicide Squad, you see a plethora of posts of fans of the Arkhamverse saying how disappointed they are with this title. I honestly have not seen much positivity at all whatsoever surrounding this game. But of course, there are still these journos trying to defend this title saying, but it's gotten good reviews, we don't understand why it's failing. Yeah, that's because you are completely and utterly out of touch. The message was extremely prominent in this game. Harley is a strong woman who doesn't give a fuck about the Joker anymore, who absolutely loathes Batman. You have characters who end up pissing on, the Flash and cutting his finger off, and then they laugh at Green Lantern and they make all these quips about how weak Superman actually is once they defeat him. Like, you can kill off these characters in respectful ways, and I know that they are going to try to do DLC in the future. They had 6 DLCs planned. It will be interesting to see if they actually come out with all 6 or if they only come out with the probably 2 that are made at this point in time. But this game is absolutely tanking in player numbers. It's an awful title, and honestly, it deserves the failure that it's facing. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.